Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user Ex-Wife Still Misses Me. Am I the a-hole for leaving my friend's birthday party after she didn't let me in her house? I, female 23, was invited to my friend Sasha's, female 23, birthday party. It was for a Friday at 8:30 p.m. We would start at her house to pregame and then go to bars. I had work that day from 7 a.m. to 7:30 p.m., but I really wanted to go, so I rushed home, ate dinner, got ready, and drove to her place. We were texting the whole day about the plans, and she seemed very excited for me to join her and her friends. I am acquainted with her friends, but we're not besties. I arrived at her house at 8:30 p.m. on the dot. I hung up the phone with my boyfriend and texted her to let her know I was there. She said okay, so I walked up and knocked on the door. I heard music and people talking inside, so I knew they were there. Nobody answered. I noticed she had a Ring camera, so I waved in front of it, knowing Ring notifies people's phones. Still, nobody let me in. I knocked louder and texted her that I was at the door, but I was neither let in nor texted back. I knocked even louder and started shouting, "Hey Sasha, I'm here!" I finally hear footsteps coming to the front door, but instead of letting me in, I heard the deadbolt lock click, locking me out. I walked away from the door and called my boyfriend to tell him what was going on. I told him my feelings were hurt and that I wanted to go home. He convinced me to stay and knock again, rationalizing that it was a miscommunication. So I texted her again. "Okay, I'm out front." Sasha immediately answered, "Okay, sounds good." So I knocked again. No answer. I heard the music get turned down and Sasha says, "Guys, I think she's here." So I knocked as loud as I could and said, "Yes, I'm here, it's me." Footsteps came towards the door and again the deadbolt sounded and the door remained locked and the footsteps walked away. At this point, I had been knocking for 12 minutes. I was so upset and angry that I left and texted Sasha. So I've been knocking for over 10 minutes and no one let me in, so I'm going home. She immediately called me, but I didn't answer because I was afraid I would say something out of anger that I would have regretted. She texted me that she looked through the peephole and did not see me. I think that's BS because she literally had a Ring camera. I told her that my feelings were hurt and I felt unwelcome. I did not receive an answer. Am I the a-hole for leaving? What could be the reasoning behind this? OP, you're not the a-hole. You showed up on time, communicated clearly, and waited, while being ignored, locked out, and lied to. That doesn't sound like a miscommunication or actually friendship to me. That's deliberate exclusion. Sasha had a Ring camera. She heard you, saw you, and still chose to not open the door twice. That's not her being flaky or aloof or something. That's intent. You're right to feel hurt, and you did the mature thing by leaving instead of exploding. Respect yourself enough not to chase people who don't value you. As for the reason to why she locked you out, it doesn't really matter. If she wanted you there, she would have opened the door. So just believe her actions and not her excuses. Saw you through the peephole. Right. How come she didn't open the door when you told her you were out front? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments and let's check out the community comments. Unexpected Cougar says, "Not the a-hole. They are. I'm sorry. Hearts. Do not listen to. It was just a joke, a harmless prank. Where's your sense of humor? It was deliberate and vicious. Sasha is not your friend, not at all. Please don't give her another chance. This was not a mistake. Don't be the bigger person, just cut her off. No message or text for her, cut her out and don't let her back in. Please." Algoris Gardener 124 says, "I don't normally comment on things like this because of the age difference, 61 male. But I had a similar incident happen to me when I was 21. I kept trying to be a part of the friend group, but I was just a convenience and they would ditch me when I wasn't convenient. I wasted years of effort trying. Please stop trying with this girl. Never make someone a priority who considers you an option. Find friends who appreciate you. There are many of them." And OP responds, "Thank you, heart, 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 and I'm so sorry you had a similar experience." Odd Connection 7167 says, not the a-hole. My advice to you is to not spend a whole lot of time thinking about this. Either they were deliberate not letting you in, or there was some sort of crossing of the wires. I don't know that it helps you to find out one way or the other. For your part, just maintain what is the true explanation. You did everything you could. All she had to do was open the door. If she's not willing to open the door and let you in, how much longer are you supposed to spend out there knocking, yelling, and texting? I tend to think that you were the victim of a prank committed by her besties. But again, I don't know if that helps you to find out one way or the other. And Broad Respond 2205 says, she literally didn't let you in the party. What were you supposed to do? If my friend told me she was at the door and I didn't see her, I would go outside to look for them. Additional information from OP's comments. I'm starting to figure she did this on purpose. Sad face. Nothing like this has ever happened before, and honestly, the only reason I didn't break down crying was because my boyfriend came over and made me feel better. I just felt so confused and hurt. What makes it even more confusing is that Sasha was the one who texted me a week before to invite me, and she was texting me day of to chat about the party. She really seemed excited for me to come. That's what's messing with my head. Also, yeah, they definitely locked the deadbolt twice. I'm guessing they might have unlocked it when I walked away to call my boyfriend the first time, then locked it again when I came back. It was so weird and just cold. And I think the saddest part is realizing maybe she isn't really my friend. We met in college and stayed close after graduating. I stayed in our college town for work and she's here for more school. So we'd still hang out every few weeks. She was always the one to text and make plans. I really thought we had a friendship. I even got along with one of her other friends there. So I was shocked she let this happen. Well, the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole and that Sasha is not a friend. And after that additional information, my guess is that Sasha was really excited for OP to come to do exactly what she did. Anyways, let's now move on to the update to see how this story ends. Hey guys, thank you for all the support. I really am blown away. Smiley face with hearts. Few things to add before I get into the update. Yes, I was at the right house. Lol, I had been there before. Yes, I tried to open the door multiple times and it was still locked. No, I am not a bot or AI. My username is from Gravity Falls. Crying emoji. My boyfriend told me to knock again because either this is a miscommunication or Sasha is a secret evil bitch. Finally, Sasha had never done anything remotely mean in the past, so we gave her the benefit of the doubt. Now, on to the update. Smiley face. The next morning, one of Sasha's friends, Taylor, female 22, texted me to ask me if I was joining them in part 2 of the birthday party that night. It was the same plan, to pre-game and go out to bars. But like, why would I go to get humiliated again? Crying emoji. I said no, but did not tell her why. Then Sasha texted me a long apology a little after I told Taylor I wasn't going that night, saying that she was sorry I felt unwelcome and that she really wanted me there and she genuinely did not see me through the peephole. This gave me relief and I replied saying, that makes me feel so much better. I thought I was invited as a prank. Lol. To which she responded that she was offended I would even think she would do something like that. Like, what? What? So I said, I wouldn't normally think that because we are good friends. But after knocking on your door for 10 minutes and no one answering, I just started to get in my own head. I probably should have been meaner, lol, but I feel so guilty being mean. She didn't answer my text for a while, and when she did, she said, so, dinner on Wednesday? Same time as usual? Heck no, I'm about to get dined and dashed. My friends and boyfriend ended up convincing me to make plans with her because the worst thing that can happen is I don't have fun and I don't go again. Okay, fair. We make plans, and when the day comes, I'm walking out the door to my house and my ceiling starts leaking. It's like divine intervention telling me not to go. We reschedule for the next day. Now, I am usually extremely open to giving people second chances, but this just felt weird. I don't believe her when she says she didn't see me through the peephole. So before our scheduled dinner, I reached out and texted her saying that I have been wrestling with something and I don't think I can get over what happened at her birthday party and I don't see this friendship going further. She responded with, "Is this a joke?" and went on to say how she didn't see me and how she already apologized multiple times and I seemed fine. But if this is truly something I can't get past, she has nothing else to say. I never responded. She never texted me again. I think dropping her was my best course of action. I feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. She's out of my life and I'm not gonna force the reason for why she did what she did out of her. Thank you to everyone here for helping me get my head out of my butt and see her for who she truly is. I appreciate all of you. Smiley face with hearts and a heart. Well, OP, good for you. I think this is the best decision you could have made for yourself, for your mental health, and in general for your life. You got self-closure and decided to move on. So here's wishing you the best, OP. Thanks so much for sharing and take care. And now let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user Loki's Baby Girl 12. Am I the a-hole for ghosting a guy because he insisted on going for drinks on our first date? I, 20 female, had been talking to this guy, 22 male, for about a month. We knew each other from school, he was a senior, and reconnected recently. The conversations were fun, flirty, and I was open to meeting him in person to see where things might go. When we started planning a first date, he kept suggesting we go to a bar and get drinks. I personally don't feel super comfortable drinking with someone I haven't met properly yet, especially on a first date. I live in India, where that kind of setting, especially as a woman, can feel a little unsafe or just not ideal unless I already know or trust the person. So I subtly tried to suggest alternatives, like coffee or lunch, hoping he'd take the hint. But every time he pushed for drinks again. It wasn't aggressive or anything, but it felt dismissive of my comfort. After a few back and forths like this, I ended up losing interest and stopped replying. Now I'm wondering, was that unfair of me? Should I have been more direct instead of ghosting him? Or was I right to just dip if I wasn't feeling respected or unsure? OP, you weren't wrong for walking away. Your comfort comes first. But he might not have picked up on your hints. That's not always disrespect. Sometimes it's just poor communication. If someone doesn't respond to subtle cues, it's a sign they may not be emotionally tuned in, and that's still useful information. That said, clarity is power. Next time, say exactly what you want. I'd prefer coffee over drinks for a first meet. If they push past that, it's a clear red flag. But if they simply didn't get the hint, being direct gives them and you a fair shot. All you have to do is speak up. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments and let's check out the community comments. Seraphim0352 says, "Speak up. No thanks. I prefer to go for coffee on a first date. Problem solved." Level-headed 411 says, "You should have said I'm not comfortable going for drinks yet, but I'd love to grab coffee sometime. Be more direct." Get Out of My Way at Once says, "I almost skimmed over that you're based in India. I think it adds some context. I don't know what city you're based in, but I would have expected an Indian guy to be a bit more clued on about a young lady preferring to meet for a coffee or lunch date and how it might come across for him to keep pushing for the bar and drinks." I don't think you're an a-hole. It seems a little too strong of a word for this when I can see it's important to you that you're connecting with people who value your safety as a woman, especially in a trickier social landscape like India. I'll say no a-holes here because I do think you should have communicated it more clearly at least once and then made a decision on how to proceed based on the response. My gut instinct is that it was just a genuine oversight on his part and ghosting him may well have hurt him. Attempted Catharsis says, "It's possible you dodged a bullet, but I'd say it is guaranteed that he did. Until you learn to communicate like an adult, I'd personally feel sorry for any guy you do date. You are the a-hole in my opinion, not for not wanting to go for drinks, which is totally reasonable, but for not communicating like an adult and instead ghosting." And K So What says he was insisting on going for drinks because he probably wanted to get you drunk and try to shag you. Hints about coffee or lunch or blatant communication about going for coffee or lunch would unlikely change what he wanted here. And OP responds, that's it. People are suggesting I could have just gone and had something non-alcoholic, but men don't understand how certain men can act in a situation like that, pushing to get you drunk so it can affect the girl's judgment or worse. It's one of the most uncomfortable situations to be in. Not saying this guy would definitely do this, but I've been in enough uncomfortable situations to run the other way at the possibility. Well, I didn't see a clear judgment. The most upvoted comment told OP that she needs to speak up in the future. But we also got a lot more different takes, some saying that OP was the a-hole, some saying that OP was absolutely right for doing what she did. In any case, it's time for us to move on to the update to see how this story ends. Hi again, I didn't expect my original post to get so much attention. This is my first time making an update post, but thank you to everyone who shared their perspective, especially those who took the time to understand the cultural and safety context of dating in India. So I thought I'd give a small update since a lot of you suggested being direct rather than ghosting, just to see how he reacts and confirm my instincts. To clarify, I had actually cancelled our earlier plan by giving the excuse of family commitments because I was already feeling weird about the drinks thing, not just straight up stopped replying like some comments thought. But after reading the responses here, I decided to be more honest, for closure if nothing else. So when he called, I said something like, we can try to meet next weekend if you're still up for it, but I'd really prefer not to go for drinks. I even suggested some of my favorite coffee spots. I really prefer coffee dates. I've had some of my best first dates be coffee and a walk in the park. You can have conversations, get to know each other, and it's low effort. If a guy isn't into that, I doubt we'll be able to vibe anyways. Anyway, his response? 1. He said he usually goes to the gym or works during the day, so was hoping to meet a little later. Which, fine, that's understandable since he does freelance work. 2. But he followed it up with, but I'd bet you'd be a very fun drunk. Yeah, that creeped me out more than I expected. Not only did it dismiss what I just said again, it also gave off the exact vibe I was trying to avoid. Like, the main appeal of the date was how I'd behave after drinking. I ended up giving vague answers to his follow-ups and haven't taken the conversation further. At this point, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to. Well, OP, there you go. You were clear with what you didn't want and what you did want, and his response showed you what he was truly after. So I'd say now that you're not taking the conversation further, it's totally fine to ghost him. And on that point, here's wishing you the best, OP. Thanks for sharing and take care. And now let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance, and it's by user Jemul. I brought the company to a standstill to make a point. I worked in the engineering department of a smaller manufacturing company, around 70 to 80 employees. My responsibility, among other things, was to handle any design changes, assembly drawings, bill of materials, etc. Previously, this was all handled by putting together a packet of actual paper documents that had to be shuffled from engineering to manufacturing, sometimes ping-ponging back and forth if we were doing something complicated that required input from various people in those departments. Eventually, the company started to implement a software-driven procedure that was supposed to eliminate the stacks of paper that would sometimes get lost on someone's desk. The problem was that our bare-bones staff didn't really have the time to learn all of the ins and outs of the software and refine the process to be truly efficient. Basically, it was left so that if an item was entered into an engineering change order, it was locked down so that no one could build one, but also a customer couldn't even order one until the change process was completed. Sometimes this could take weeks. I tried explaining several times that if we ever had to work on some item that is used in several of our products, this would bring everything to a screeching halt. My manager at the time understood this, but could never get all of the people who needed to work on the software procedure to sit down and finalize everything. One day, I was tasked with changing the design of a hardware component that was used in every machine we built. I told my manager that as soon as I started the process, no one in sales would be able to enter an order for any customers until the process would be completed. He shrugged and said, "Do it," knowing that I was right. Within 30 minutes of getting started, a salesman came to my desk asking why he couldn't enter an order. I explained what was happening. He left, and soon after, the VP of the company was at my desk asking what needed to be done. So I told him he needed to corral everyone needed to hash out how the software was supposed to work properly instead of the half-assed just lock everything down deal they left off with. He immediately called in whoever was on that list. It took a few days, as I recall, and the component in question was expedited to be approved within the week. To this day, I use this story in interviews whenever I am asked one of those questions like, "Give me an instance where you had to solve a major problem in the workplace." Well, OP, you clearly saw the risk and raised the proper flags, and the rest is up to them. Thanks for sharing, OP. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out, so here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later, and also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.